Love arrives in stories that feel both ancient and close to home. Like a familiar song that keeps changing its tune just enough to surprise us. Tonight, we wander through time to uncover 5 surprising origins of romantic love. Not 5 separate myths, but 5 threads that wove together to shape the way we fall, yearn, and choose to stay. Each origin holds a hint of perseverance, a spark of longing, and a simple invitation that even in the ordinary, love can bloom with a stubborn tenderness. Origin 1. Love is a fate whispered by the gods and named in the hardest weather. In the old myths, Eros sometimes slips into a room unannounced, firing arrows that tilt a whole city toward a single glance. Across cultures, the idea that love arrives like weather, unpredictable, irresistible, and a little inconvenient became a shared belief. You feel a pull, not because you planned it, but because the world opens its door just enough for a storm of tenderness to walk in. This origin nudges us toward 2 truths: first, that love can feel appointed, almost divinely handwritten, and second, that choosing to nurture it requires courage after the arrow has flown. We learn that romance isn't only the spark. It's the weather we decide to endure, to build a shelter around when the storms come. SFX, soft_bell, 1. 2. Origin 2, romance as a refined vow in the age of courts and troubadours. In medieval and early modern Europe, heart-led devotion traveled through songs, sonnets, and the secretive rituals of courtly love. Knights kept fidelity as a poetic banner, lovers spoke in metaphors, and songs traveled through towers and town squares like seeds carried by the wind. This origin gifts us a delicate paradox. Romance can be both noble and intimate, a ritual that elevates affection while insisting it remains human and relatable. The lesson here is that longing can be polished without losing warmth. Romance as a practiced art form that teaches us how to listen, how to protect a whispered vow, how to keep faith when distance grows between 2 beating hearts. SFX, quill_scrape, 1. 1. Origin 3, the power of letters, where distance did not defeat desire but fed it. The epistolary flame invites us into rooms lit by candlelight, where a single line on paper can soften fear, bridge a gap, or spark a stubborn hope. People learn to wait for words the way we wait for a sunrise. Each carefully penned sentence becomes a step toward trust, each confession a small bridge across the quiet water of absence. This origin feels intimate and modern at once, because we still fall in love when someone takes the time to write well, to notice our flaws with tenderness, to tell us that we are seen. The letters teach that romance grows in the pause between words as much as in the words themselves, a space where patience becomes the seedbed for trust. Origin 4, love as a living, breathing science, discovered in labs and in the rhythm of daily life. In the 20th century, scientists mapped how closeness changes us, how oxytocin flares when trust thickens, how dopamine lights up when we glimpse something beautiful. This origin may feel clinical, yet it offers a comforting anatomy of what we feel in moments of softness and longing. It tells us that love is not just magic but a delicate chemistry that can be tended with care, time spent listening, small acts of reliability, and shared. It becomes easier to weather friction, easier to choose to show up, again and again, for someone who has learned to trust us in return. The science behind the spark does not dull the warmth, it explains why that warmth can endure. Origin 5, love in the age of screens, where a swipe or a message can redraw a coastline between 2 people. In this modern layer, romance travels across miles with a tap, a ping, or a voice note that travels through glass and bandwidth to land in a familiar heartbeat. Digital dating didn't erase chemistry, it reframed it. It asks us to show up with intention, to decide when a match is more than a mirror and a possibility, to cultivate patience when a spark needs time to catch. The online world also teaches resilience. Conversations that survive misread texts, long-distance evenings that stretch into mornings, and the quiet triumph of choosing consistency when new options glitter at every corner. The origin here is not doom or satire but a testimony that love can be tailored to our era, without losing its core truth that two people may decide to grow something lasting together. In a world that moves faster every day. SFX, soft_chime, 1. 3. Between these origins we hear a single thread weaving through the centuries. Love is born from longing, tended with care, and proven by perseverance. It's easy to romanticize a single moment, the first glance, the perfect line. The once in a lot of fate, but real romance is often the quiet work that follows. It's the apology that comes after a misunderstanding. The commitment to listen when silence grows heavy. The stubborn choice to stay when life grows heavy around the edges. These 5 origins remind us that love doesn't through accepting imperfection, through showing up again and again for the people who matter most. SFX, soft_wind, 1. 2. So what can we take from these surprising origins? A belief in renewal, that love can arise in myth and science, in letters and chats, in courtly ritual and everyday acts of steadiness. We learn to hold on to the idea that romance is not a single spark but a constellation that lights up differently in every era. It invites us to be brave in small ways. To write a letter when a text won't do. To choose kindness when arguments flare. To trust that time itself can soften even the hardest edges of two people learning to love. SFX, gentle_bell, 1. 0. If you're listening for a guiding message, here it is. Love does not always arrive like a thunderclap. Sometimes it arrives as a patient, stubborn persistence, the kind that survives the most ordinary days and the most extraordinary storms. It survives the fear of being vulnerable, the fear of letting someone in, the fear that love could end. It persists because we choose to nurture it, to water it with attention, to feed it with honesty, and to protect it with loyalty. The origins we explored today show that romance can adapt, but its heart remains the same: to connect, to heal, to hope, and to dream together. As you close your ears on this journey, hold on to a simple conviction. There is a way to love that fits your life, your pace, your seasons. The origins may be surprising, but the invitation is intimate and universal. To the person you're growing with, or to the possibility of someone new, give your best, listen with curiosity, forgive with gentleness, and choose to keep showing up. Because love is not a perfect endpoint. It's a practice you carry forward, a story you write with another, a life you build day by day until your own happily ever after feels earned, not promised. If you found this journey comforting, share a thought in the comments about which origin spoke most to you. Or describe a moment when you chose to nurture love through a difficult chapter. Your story matters, and your courage matters even more. Until next time, may your days feel bright with small kindnesses. And may your heart stay open to the surprising, stubborn beauty of romance. If you felt a tug toward one of these origins in your own life, you're not imagining it. Origin 1 lingers in the moment you choose to bravely confess. Origin 2 thrives in the rituals you cultivate, the quiet promises kept, the shared sunset that becomes a small ceremony of care. Origin 3 glows in the care of words, the tremor and warmth of a letter mailed with hopeful hands. Origin 4 lives in daily listening and small acts of reliability, the patient choices that prove you'll stay and grow together. Origin 5 remains alive in the patient, human pace of connection, the willingness to read a person beyond a perfect profile and to respond with consideration rather than speed. These threads braid into a single truth. Love is not a single moment but a practiced, evolving art. It asks for courage when confession is scary, for tenderness when tempers flare, for honesty when fear whispers that you should walk away. It asks for curiosity to learn someone else's world, to translate a glance into a touch, to translate silence into a shared breath. It asks for humility to repair what breaks, to forgive what repeats, to begin again when a chapter ends. So if you're listening for a nudge today, here it is. Look for the origin you need to nourish right now. Maybe you'll choose to write a note instead of scrolling, to listen a little deeper, to extend trust before certainty, to slow down for a found moment with someone you care about. Love, in all its surprising origins, loves persistence as much as poetry. If this resonated, share in the comments which origin speaks to you most, or describe a small, steady choice you'll make this week to nurture love. Until next time, may your days be bright with a steady rhythm of hope. And may your heart stay open to the beautiful.